This is Bowles and Roman Duran, and we will be presenting on person-centered approach. Dating back to the 1940s, Carl Rogers spearheaded non-directive counseling. He was among the first to challenge traditional therapy with the concept that clients were in fact the experts and not the therapists. He believed in using this approach. It was highly important for therapists to be real and empathetic. Person-centered therapy is set apart by the belief that clients have the capacity for self-understanding and constructive change. Later on, this approach was broadened to include applications in teaching and learning, affective and cognitive workshops, and organizational development and leadership.
Natalie Rogers was the daughter of Carl Rogers. She trained and worked with her father for many years. After her father's death, Natalie used her love of art to help her heal and soon began suggesting using art to her clients. Her clients felt this was very helpful. This approach also improved the communication between Natalie and her clients. This approach became known as the person-centered expressive arts process, or the creative connection process. This approach uses various arts such as movement, drawing, painting, sculpting, music, sound, and improvisation in a supportive setting to facilitate growth and healing. Natalie, along with her daughter Frances, founded the Person-Centered Expressive Arts Institute in California. For more information about this or to become certified in this therapeutic approach, you can visit their website at personcenteredexpressivearts.com. The creative connection process. Approach to therapy. Personal growth takes place in a safe, supportive environment. A safe, supportive environment is created by facilitators who are genuine, warm, empathetic, open, honest, congruent, and caring. These qualities can be learned best by experiencing this approach firsthand. A client-therapist relationship can be the context for experiencing these qualities. Natalie believed one must experience this type of approach before applying it. The principles or foundation of this therapy are: all people have an innate ability to be creative. The creative process is healing. Personal growth and higher states of consciousness are achieved through awareness, self-understanding, and insight. Self-awareness, understanding, and insight are achieved by delving into our emotions. Our feelings and emotions are an energy source. The expressive arts, including movement, art, writing, sound, music, meditation, and imagery, lead us into the unconscious. Art modes interrelate in what she calls the creative connection. A connection exists between our life force, which is our inner core or our soul, and the essence of all beings. As we journey inward to discover our essence or our wholeness, we discover our relatedness to the outer world.
As part of the key concepts of a group, I will take it a step back and talk about the characteristics. When forming a person-centered group, a typical format would be to meet for about 2 hours a week, usually for an unspecified number of meetings, and the group is led in a workshop format, with the premise that members are responsible for creating the ground rules. As far as key concepts of person-centered therapy, I will begin with genuineness. To portray genuineness, there is a belief that the more involved facilitators are, the greater the likelihood that members will change and grow. In order to demonstrate this, facilitators must be able to perform professional functions without hiding behind their role. A key point to genuineness is that to truly be a genuine therapist, one should not pretend to be interested or fake attention or understanding. They do not say things they don't mean, nor behave in a way to win members over. There are many challenges for leaders attempting to portray genuineness. It can be difficult to know boundaries of appropriate self-revelation. On another note, some have a hard time being themselves and feel conflicted when the notion of expressing every thought and feeling that arises within them during session. If one is not careful, the therapist can easily end up as the focal point of the group and oversharing their own issues. If you're asking yourself, how can I be more genuine? The following video will give you a list of reminders. Unconditional positive regard and acceptance. Unconditional positive regard is accepting and caring for group members. Acceptance for members of your group can be conveyed using nonverbal cues, such as open body posture, a nod, or other gestures, letting your members know you embrace their current state. When the leader values and accepts the members without placing expectations on said acceptance, it is helpful in reducing defensiveness among the group. Clients can sense genuine caring in the group, which usually aids in development as group progresses. The same can be said for fabricated warmth, which is not helpful to members. A challenge that we face as therapists is that we believe we must always be accepting and warm, and this is not realistic. Also, the sense of acceptance goes both ways. We must be kind to ourselves and accepting of ourselves too. To be empathetic is to be understanding of the member's internal and subjective frame of reference. We need to be able to convey empathy to group members and to explain to them that feedback determines accuracy in sessions. Accurate empathy is important in session and a powerful determinant of a client's progress in therapy. An implication for the therapist is the sense that one cannot be empathetic unless having also experienced the same problems as the clients. This is not the case. It is nearly impossible to have all the same experiences as others. Even within our own families, there are variations.
Person-centered expressive arts in action. Here we're going to watch Natalie Rogers do what she does best.
It's bringing up a lot of feelings just working this way.
Susan has a strong emotional reaction to the process, which is part of our goal in expressive arts therapy. She is using her non-dominant hand, which was one part of losing control of the situation and engaging in the process. Tears come up around her perfectionist self, her judgments of herself, and she can go more deeply into this as the process continues.
Yeah, the colors are for me, it feels like a celebration of who I am.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't allowed myself to do that lately.
Uh-huh. So this is a celebration of who you are. And you haven't had any chance to really allow yourself to do that.
Mm-mm. No.
One of the things I suggest to people that they start with their eyes closed and just feel the texture, and you can twist it and punch it and pound it and see what happens. And then whenever you want, you can open your eyes. But
it's tough for me to begin something that I don't have planned out, that I know how it's going to end. You know what I mean? So
expressive arts that's what it is. So that's tough.
And but it feels good because it's again going into that kind of unknown. Am I going to, I have all this kind of self-doubt, self-judgment stuff that comes up around it, and it's a new place for me, and I welcome that though.
So this is another way of going into the unknown for you.
Yeah.
It brings up that kind of questioning and fears. And I heard you say you welcome it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm learning to be okay with not knowing, exactly how it's going to look to other people, or it's going to, like I said, I plan a lot. I plan what, so that I don't have any surprises, and realize that holds me back a lot from just being.
So you're planning and needing to know where you're going. You're saying holds you back from really being
in the moment.
And being fully yourself.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the opportunities that are missed as a result of that.
Okay.
Because I'm so busy kind of making sure everything's safe, and
so being that concerned about your safety and the plans.
Yeah.
You're saying you're missing some real opportunities.
I think so.
Barriers to this therapy are the therapist lacking any skills such as active listening, empathy, self-disclosure, positive regard, warmth, acceptance, and belief in the therapeutic process. It's important to remember that the therapist must believe in the process and set aside their own biases for the group to be successful.
I am very fortunate, and the client is very fortunate, if I can feel I really accept you fully just as you are. Sometimes that's very difficult. I held an interview with a young man in South Africa. I didn't know anything about him. It turned out he was an officer in the South African Army. Now, for me, that meant it meant that I stretched my empathic abilities to their very limit to try to be with him, to try to understand him, to try to be caring toward him. I didn't feel I did too well. And yet, I've learned since that interview really changed the course of his life. So I feel that if I can be genuinely understanding, try to listen not only to the words but to the meaning, trying to understand the person that's hidden within each one of us, that's helpful. If I really care about this person in an unconditional way, that's helpful. If I can really be myself in the relationship, not a professional expert, not a, quote, psychologist, not a psychotherapist, just me in that relationship, that's helpful. All those things are possible, and when they come together, that creates a very powerful climate for change, for growth, for drawing out the potential of the client.